Okay, everybody, our friend David Harsanyi is back in the house. He is a senior editor over at National Review. He writes great things over there. He does this show a lot. We like David. He's with us. David, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Buck.
All right, man. Let's start with this one, actually, because I see that you have pointed out something that I'm also trying to make as much noise about this as possible. You have such left-wing luminaries as Ezra Klein making the argument publicly that the disaster of COVID in America is the fault specifically of Trumpism compared to what we see in the rest of the world. You had Ben Rhodes, the Obama administration's chief foreign policy propagandist, arguing that we have done, I forget what the specific languages that he used, but essentially we're so much worse off than Europe because Trump, of course. And this is just not looking at the actual data and the truth. How are people getting away with this?
Well, I mean, how do they get away with anything? You have a complicit mainstream media or legacy media that allows them to say things like this and repeats them, as well. Now, obviously, it's complicated, right? But when you look at deaths per million of the population, which I think is the most important number to look at, right? It shows how we react to it, how we treat things, how we deal with the initial response. We are better than most European nations that are similar to us, other than Germany. We are better than most authoritarian nations which have pliant, easily controlled populations usually. Also, we can't trust those countries to give us the proper statistics. People are dying. It's a tragedy. It's largely out of our hands. The second part of that, though, is also that trying to blame red states and Trumpism and stuff like that is kind of absurd when more people died in New York nursing homes that have died, or twice as many people almost in New York nursing homes that have died in the entire state of Florida or the entire state of Texas or the entire state of Georgia. So that argument is just really hollow and completely partisan.
And it feels like there's a concerted effort going on to not only let Cuomo evade accountability for the disastrous nursing home decision. And, that's not just, New York is a dense place that got hit hard. That was a decision he made that I don't think anybody defends now. But not only are they moving the focus off of that problem, they're still give Cuomo a platform to lecture other states, notably red state governors like Florida and Texas, about how they're handling this, as if that's not completely insane.
Paul Krugman wrote a column telling us to look towards New York for their solutions. I mean, the nursery home decision was a deadly decision that was wrong. Now, Florida is also dense, right, in general, and Florida has an older population, and yet they didn't have the same problem. So I think that looking towards New York would be insane. Now, obviously, it's not all, like you mentioned, there's density issues. There's other issues as well. We might not even know what the other issues exactly are. But the idea that, conservatives are at fault here somehow is just crude partisanship. It's also idiotic, or I shouldn't, it's not true, a fiction, that Donald Trump was in charge of either shutting down states or opening states. That's a state-by-state, city-by-city decision that was made, and a lot of red states opened up, so you're going to see a spike probably in cases, but, they calibrate as they move along. That's how we have to do it. We're not a dictatorship here, and we have other concerns we have to weigh here. And as you probably mentioned, initially this was about flattening the curve.
Yes.
Which every state, almost other than the New York and New York area, has done. So
I got to tell you, David, sorry, I was just going to say, I have, to your point about flattening the curve, I had some conservative friends here in New York, because they do exist, we just keep it quiet, who said, hey, Buck, I really, I agree with your analysis on COVID and all the stuff, but you got to look at what's happening in Houston, man. The ICUs are just about to overflow. They don't know what they're going to do. They don't have enough beds. They don't, that we're basically, and this is, and I saw the headlines and I saw the news coverage of this and I thought, whoa, okay, maybe I missed something here. And I dug into the numbers a little bit, and no, it turns out that the ICUs in Houston are just kept at a certain staffing level, but there are 3 phases of staffing level. They can expand. They have a surge capacity in individual hospitals in that system, and they weren't even close to getting to the point where they wouldn't be able to treat people. And this is specifically in Houston, which was supposed to be the place that was the worst hit. And also, the average hospital stay for people who were being admitted for COVID was 2 to 3 days instead of what we had in New York, which is 2 to 3 weeks. But you had to dig into the numbers to see that, David. You had to actually look at what was happening on the ground. Otherwise, the national media is saying, oh, my gosh, the hospitals are overflowing. We're all going to die again. Everyone hide under their beds. That's what was happening.
Right. And I'm not an expert on specific cities, but I know that there's also if you saw a little bit of a spike going on, occasionally it was about a backlog of elective surgeries that were not allowed for a long time that people are now allowed to go back into the hospitals for. So it's not that simple. I don't know why, you see these spiking cases. Obviously, part of it's from more testing, but obviously part of it is also from, opening up now. But the death numbers have not gone up. Yeah.
Right, but it's like we made this decision, David, like we as a society, as a country, we said, okay, we're gonna get this under control. We're gonna reopen. There will be some ups and downs in this, but that was always the plan. Now all of a sudden we got Fauci and others acting like, whoa, what do you mean there's more cases? Yeah, there's gonna be more cases.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going anywhere. The idea that we can sit around and wait for a vaccine that's going to actually work is crazy. We may never really work. There aren't vaccines for tons of viruses, so I don't understand I do understand what's expected from some people. From some people, we're supposed to wait till November to see what happens, right? I believe Paul Krugman does not want the economy to rebound before the election. It's that simple. And I'm not saying he wants people to die, but he definitely doesn't want the economy to bounce back. And that, again, that's just crude partisanship. It's kind of disgusting. Now, I don't listen. San Francisco's only had 600 deaths, right? And New York had like 25,000. So it's not just an ideological thing. There are obviously other factors and other things going on. But I don't think we're the ones saying it's all about ideology, right? They're saying that. Yeah. They're making it a partisan issue for the most part. Other than Cuomo, who clearly did something that people don't.
I don't go on radio and constantly, bash the governor of New Jersey, which has also had a very high mortality rate, because I think that was spillover from New York, people getting infected. I disagree with some of his decisions, but he didn't have quite this. He hasn't been held up the same way as Cuomo. He didn't have. He has not been treated as though he has beat this thing. He has a bad record too, but I think New York and New Jersey were the first big places to get hit, and that should be factored into it. But David, I want to switch gears for a second. We're talking to David Harsandy of National Review. You told me that there's a case to be made, the Butt Gorsuch phenomenon, which is what people say about anyone who supported Trump, mostly for Supreme Court judges, maybe for some other things, but mostly because they want the judges. And now we see some very bad decisions if you're a constitutional conservative, including one that Gorsuch wrote. But you're saying there's still upside here. This was still a good argument, meaning you should support Trump for the judges. Tell me about this.
I'm not saying there's upside. I'm saying it's by far the best argument for Trump. I'm saying that it is maybe the last chance to save many of the constitutional norms that we have. That's what I'm saying. I think there's nothing wrong with making that argument. We're not a democracy. This is not about majoritarian rule. We have every right to want to rely on the courts to stop them. And as bad as Gorsuch's decision might have been, or Roberts' decisions are, they're 100 times better than the decisions that would be made right now by Hillary-appointed judges. In fact, there are the Janus decision, the decision we had yesterday about religious liberty. These would not exist if Trump hadn't been president. That's just a fact, no matter what Trump's tweeting or doing. And for me, it's the most effective and the most important part of, the argument for Trump. Now, there could be other reasons to vote against him. I'm not saying that you should vote for him and not vote for him. I don't do things like that, but I'm just saying that is a really important argument. And I think that people who make the rational decision about the nature of transactional politics and vote for him because of judges have as good a case to vote for him as anyone has to vote for anyone, else.
And before we let you go, David, I heard Tucker on his show, maybe it was last night or the night before, saying that in his assessment, his analysis, if the Democrats get unified government, meaning Biden wins Senate, Congress, everything's in Democrat hands, they will move to pack the Supreme Court. which feels like previously, maybe for some people at least, a red line. Do you really think they'd do that? Do you think they'd pack the Supreme Court if they thought that was a path to power?
Listen, I think many of them would gladly do it if they thought they could get away with it without any sort of repercussions, politically speaking. But I'm not so sure that a Biden presidency that happens. But in 2008, I thought Republicans were finished for a generation. And 2 years later, there was a huge revolt among conservatives, and everything changed. If Biden acts like Obama did or worse, I think that could happen again. And I think he knows that can happen again and will be a little more careful. At least that's my hope. But certainly Kamala Harris or, these other newer Democrats, if they could get away with it, they'd do it for sure.
David Arsani of National Review, everybody. Check out his latest, nationalreview.com. David, great to have you on, my friend. You take care.
Anytime. Thank you.
What is going on with these Capitol Hill autonomous zones, New York City, City Hall zone? Seattle, we know, has gotten all of a sudden shut down. But what's going on in our nation's capital? Plus some other things to talk about. We're joined by Tiana Lowe. She is a commentary writer from The Examiner, also a contributor to The First. Tiana, welcome back.
Hi, Buck. Thanks for having me.
All righty. So tell me what's going on in D.C. now. You had been the site of some of the most aggressive protest stuff. What was it, about last week? They were going to tear down the Andrew Jackson statue. Have the statue topplers calmed down a bit? Is the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone still functioning? What's happening down there?
So last week, I went to a brunch in Clarendon. So 10-minute drive away from my apartment in Arlington, Virginia, still very much a part of the DC ecosystem. People were outside, people were wearing masks, people were social distancing, and things were open, and it was great. I go downtown to make a return, and it looked like a different nation. It looked like a third world country, still storefronts in Chinatown, either boarded up or destroyed or completely empty. No people, except for homeless people, and everything is defaced. And why is that? It is because these protests are no longer peaceful. They were peaceful for a time, and then it turned into looting, and now it's statue toppling. I believe that things have calmed down a little bit in the sense of the scope of the thing, and I've been trying to be a little bit less online leading up to 4th of July, but it's pretty clear that the energy isn't ending. We're on almost a month. No, we actually are on a month of this thing, Buck, because it's July now. And it's clear that there is no buck that stops with Mayor Muriel Bowser, Bill de Blasio. I mean, the only reason why the Seattle Chaz got taken down was because they started threatening the mayor's home. Until then, she said, whatever. So what if 2 black men die within Chaz? So what if women are assaulted? So what if property is destroyed? It only mattered once the mayor herself felt threatened.
Do you feel like the Republican Party, I mean, you're down there where you have the gathering of all of the Republican members of the Senate and the House on Capitol Hill, and I know you see them in D.C. It's regular, you'll see these people walking around the street or whatever. So you're in closer proximity, and there's just much more of a sense of connectivity sometimes to these national level politicians. And do you get the sense the Republican Party is just hunkering down and waiting for the storm to pass on this one? Because it seems there are very few prominent members of the GOP that I can point to right now, and if I'm missing some, by all means, who are saying that this is madness and they don't want to make concessions to the mob. They don't want this to continue. They're cutting budgets for police forces in New York. They've shut down the police force, at least in theory, the city council of Minneapolis. This should be a moment for Republicans to assert their desire for law, order, and safety, and yet it sounds like there's a deafening silence, at least from the Republicans in D.C.
Absolutely. And considering I know a couple of the apartment buildings where senior members of the Trump campaign and where the Trump administration live, and I've seen how badly at least the base level of those buildings have been destroyed. So yes, it is kind of shocking to hear people who, I mean, again, I know that you have talked to the president. It is just baffling to me, from everything from supply chains in China during the coronavirus to these riots taking over the American city right now, that Trump hasn't leveraged this more, because it does fundamentally make the case for his initial campaign. The fact is, these Democrat-run cities have been ran into the ground for the last half century, and this is the natural result. It's the natural result of left-wing academia becoming increasingly illiberal and hell-bent on identity politics. It's the product of these cities sort of, I mean, not even just in the past 3 months, but in the last few decades. No disregard for business, no regard for job growth. This really does sort of prove the entire point of the Republican case for a country. How this isn't being leveraged better politically is shocking to me.
You're Generation Z, so you get to be our unofficial Generation Z correspondent for some of these matters. Are you technically a millennial?
I'm technically a millennial. I'm the last year of millennials.
Oh, okay. You're the very youngest possible millennial. I'm like the oldest possible millennial, so we're at the other ends of the spectrum here. But it's okay. But you know a lot of Gen Z people. I'm just wondering, when they see all this stuff going on, don't they? Did you ever hear people, even maybe who have a more liberal point of view, or who are Democrats that are friends with, who are saying, "Wow, cities are actually going to be pretty unlivable"? Like, does this ever register for them that everyone who knows what it means to be in a place where law and order breaks down and has been through that before is like, I'm going to get out of here? I mean, New York is having an outflow of biblical proportions of people leaving.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I think that we're seeing that, this was last month, record gun sales. Some of the highest gun sales in recorded American history happened in June of 2020. And it makes sense. People clearly do not feel safe. I have lived in South Central LA, Paris, New York, and DC, and I have never felt more unsafe and never felt personally the need to carry than I have this month, or this past month, because it is clear that cops are crowding out and there is just lawlessness on the streets where people live in nice areas in DC. So even if they aren't expressly saying it, I think the numbers are telling the story. The numbers of how many people are fleeing the East Village and the numbers of how many people are applying for concealed carry licenses. It's nuts.
And, in D.C., if memory serves, not only can you, of course, not carry around a handgun legally, but I think you're not even allowed to have pepper spray. Am I right in that? I believe I've been told this before in D.C. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's there is no means for self-defense.
Yeah, well, palm strike to the nose and then run really fast. That's the best advice we can give you if need be, Tina. But thank you very much for joining us, telling us what's going down there in the chat. Check out Tina's writing at the Washington Examiner, and also look for her contributions to The First. Tina, thanks so much.
Thanks, Buck.
Working from home is driving up one of the worst kinds of cybercrime out there, home title theft. We're doing it all from home these days: working, banking, video conferences, and meal deliveries, and also shopping. Cyber criminals, however, are shopping for your information, so to speak. They want to steal what they need to take out a loan against your home, get all that money, and leave you in debt. The FBI is trying to warn people about this, but you need to actually take steps. Home Title Lock is how you protect your home from cyber thieves. Your home's legal title is online, where they can find it, forge your signature, and say that you sold your home to them. Then they'll take out these loans on your home, leave you in debt. Banks, insurance, basic identity theft services do not protect you. Home Title Lock puts a virtual barrier around your home's title. Protect your home now. Go to HomeTitleLock.com and register your address to see if you're already a victim. Use code BUCK for 30 free days of protection to help you through this crisis. That's code BUCK at HomeTitleLock.com.
It's time for Roll Call.
Facebook.com/Buck Sexton to send us messages there. Please follow us on Facebook if you have not already. Also, BuckSexton.com. That should be your one-stop shop for all things Freedom Hut. Go to BuckSexton.com. Please bookmark that page now in your web browser. Check in. We've got stories posted by the team throughout the day. We have video, audio clips that go up there. We got all kinds of fun stuff. So please do go to BuckSexton.com. And you can also listen to the podcast there of the show. So if anyone's ever saying, how do I listen to the Buck Sexton show? Just say, go to bucksexton.com, and then they can find the podcast that way. There you go. All right. Andy, first up. Hey, Buck. I've been listening to your show, I think, since you were only on Saturdays. I've listened to many conservative radio podcasts, and I just keep coming back to yours. I was wondering if you could talk about Jo Jorgensen. There is some thought that she may split the conservative vote. What are your thoughts? Thanks for your time. Well, Andy, thank you so much for being with me. Sounds like you kind of duck in and out, but you have been technically original Saturday Squad, OSS. Going back now. My 8 year in media, I'm sorry, 8 year, wait, let me think. No, 9 years. It was June, I think 7th is my anniversary of the my first day at the Blaze, I believe. Something like that. So 9 years ago, a couple of weeks ago, was my anniversary in the media, for whatever that's worth. And as for Jo Jorgensen, I don't know who that is. Perhaps I should. Producer Mark, do you know who Jo Jorgensen is?
I did Google her. I think she's a libertarian.
Oh, that explains. Well, then now I don't feel bad. I mean, libertarians, come on. Libertarians, come on. I mean, I like you, but you guys are kind of silly. Come on. I'm just kidding. I love you. Listen to the show. Tell all your libertarian friends to listen to. But I mean, come on. Yeah, Jo Jorgensen for president 2020. I never heard of this person until now. So, yeah. Another libertarian candidate. I don't think people are going to be too focused on libertarian issues as much, although the COVID thing certainly does bring them up. But when you're worried about a mob pulling you out of your home and beating you in the streets, I feel like libertarianism is a tough sell. I'm just going to put that out there. I think that might be tough. So, yeah, thanks for telling me who Jo Jorgensen is. I didn't even know. I learned something new every day on this show. Donna, next up. Hello, Buck and Mark. Producer Brandon was good, but producer Mark was missed. Of course, we know. The podcast is always up earlier when Mark is in charge. That is also true. Shields High, Donna from 104.9 WBUV, Biloxi, Gulfport, Mississippi. WBUV in the house. We haven't heard from our WBUV folks in a little while on Roll Call. Thank you so much for listening, and make sure that people down there know that they can listen to the Biloxi, Gulfport, Mississippi area. I want to go down and visit. I hear Biloxi is a great town. Same with Gulfport. But we're not supposed to travel, even 4th of July weekend now. We're being told no traveling, no fun, nothing. Just stay in your home, peasant. Do as you're told, peasant. That's what the libs tell us now.
We'll add it to the list, Mississippi, for the road trip tour we're going to take in 2022, RV tour.
Yeah, let's wait till the country's not in lockdown from a pandemic for the RV tour, but it'd be fun. I am definitely going to be in Austin, so KLBJ in the house. I'm definitely going to be in Austin this fall for a visit because my brother will be down there. So, I mean, that's 100. I'm definitely going down to Austin. So I'll finally, and I told him, I said, we're just going to put out the Team Buck bat signal. And we're going to, my brother and I, who's also a great guy, we're going to just be at a barbecue joint in Austin and people can just show up and hang out. We're going to keep it real casual, but I want to meet some of the folks. So that's what we'll do. So I know I've been talking about Austin forever. It's all right. Producer Mark wants us to do a ceviche sit down in Miami because that's where he wants the Freedom Hut to move. But that's another time. Do you even like ceviche?
Is that what? Yeah, isn't that like raw fish?
Yeah.
I mean, I like sushi, but I only eat the cooked stuff.
You're a cooked sushi guy. I should have known. I should have known. Let me guess. You like California rolls.
I like a Philadelphia roll.
Ah, okay. At least if it's a Philly roll. Hey, this guy is from Philly. It's a roll.
Oh, I hate Philadelphia, but I like the Philly roll.
What is the opposition sports team in any sport that upsets you? Who is the evil professional sports franchise in Producer Mark's world?
Just
the most
one
evil
franchise or one city?
You can give me the franchise and then you can give me the city. But what is the one franchise?
I mean, the city in general that most of my teams are rivals with would be Philadelphia.
Okay, I thought that was the case. But what is the one team that gets under your skin the most?
See, I don't say it about the team. I say it about their fans, the New York Yankees.
Wow.
The New York Yankees fan base is the most irritating fan base in sports.
I can't even believe
they just can't wait to tell you, oh, we've won 27 championships. Yeah, how many of those championships did you win before your grandparents were born?
Damn, yo.
Yeah.
Producer Mark, drop. It's a good thing. This is a good thing. This is not on WOR and NYC because, man, the hate mail from. Although I think it's mostly Mets fans that listen to WOR. I just get that sense.
I've said similar on those airwaves before, Buck.
Really? Yeah. Yankees fans, I hear you. For me, it was always the New England Patriots, but I kind of respect them too. You know, I hate them and respect. It's like the Bulls in the '90s for the NBA. I hate them, but I respect them.
I'm a Giants fan, so like we beat Brady twice.
It's the two most amazing sporting events I've ever watched. I think, honestly, were the two victories over the Patriots. By
The first one was, I mean, they were both great, but the first one was just so much better.
Yeah, well, the catch against the helmet. I actually saw these things. I remember them.
The Tyree catch and the fact that the Patriots were undefeated.
Yeah, unbelievable. It almost as good as the ending of Miracle, Producer Mark, which I watched on your Say So.
You know that's a real sporting event that happened, right?
Yeah, no, I know.
You're aware, all right?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
So you could just say, the 1980 U.S. hockey team or the Miracle on Ice.
But I never saw that real game. I've only seen the movie.
Well, you weren't old enough, really. Were you even born in 1980?
81. 81.
Okay, so you weren't even born yet, so that makes sense.
There we go.
Huh.
Baby Buck would have been all about the American victory over the Ruskies, though. Sarah, you're kicking us off next here. Hey, Buck, thanks for keeping it real. Love the show. Thank you, Sarah. Finally dawned on me why the mask-wearing mandate brings out the irrational defiance in me. Maybe it's because the media has lied to me too many times. They tell me that life evolved from pond scum, that my unborn child is a mask, not a human, that my daughter might be a boy, that manly men are toxic. They tell me Trump is a racist, that he colluded with Russia. I could go on. They have lost all credibility. Why on earth would I believe them anymore? And now they want me to mask up because they said so. Go pound sand. I'll take my chances living a clean country girl life. P.S. Welcome back, Mark, with a heart. You got to welcome back with a heart, Producer Mark.
I just like to give the fans what they want.
There you go.
Producer Mark, apparently.
Yeah, it's just want a little more piece of Producer Mark. That's all, Again, don't let Mrs. Mark listen to this episode. That's all I'm going to say. But Snow Princess loves Producer Mark too. That's a whole other. And she also loves the roll caller. So, what do we have here next? We have Connie. Oh, wait. There was one thing I wanted to tell you guys about that I didn't get to on the show. I can't even tell if this is real or not, but there is a motherboard, which is, I think, a website, has a suggested inclusive sexual health language list that's out. And I mentioned this at the top of the show, so I wanted to get to it. So the gendered language on this list, and I don't know if this is, this almost seems like it can't be real, but I don't know. It seems like it's real. It's being shared all over social media. Would the libs deny this? Would the libs say this is wrong? I don't think so. Gendered language, breastfeeding should be replaced with chest feeding. Oh, that's crazy. Female reproductive organs should be replaced with internal reproductive organs. A uterus/ovaries should be referred to as internal organs. A prostate should be referred to as internal glands. I'm not even getting it. This gets really... a woman should be referred to as a person who menstruates. And it goes on. A mother should be referred to as a birthing person. Producer Mark, did you get all that?
Yes, I'm taking copious notes.
Yeah. These are the words that we're supposed to use now to talk about these things. You know when I tell you the left is insane, I don't mean that as a hyperbole. I mean they've actually lost their minds. Like they're actually deranged and no longer able to think in reasonable, logical terms about issues of politics. And about issues of biology, it would seem, too. But, man, I got to say, these libs, every day it's like a kick in the internal organs. Or external organs, because I'm a dude. Whatever. You know what I'm saying. So, where are we now? Oh, yes, more roll call. All right, we continue here with our roll call. Connie writes in, I really wish people would leave our TV shows and movies alone. If they don't like them, don't watch them. but leave the rest of us alone. I've been watching Succession with the Snow Princess. I have to say, it's quite good. It's quite good. I'm enjoying it very much. But yes, if you go back in time, some of the most beloved TV shows of all time would not pass the test of wokeness. They've had to change Simpsons characters and Simpsons content. They've got problems with the show Friends, which I will admit I like more than I probably should. They've had to change stuff from. Actually, has Seinfeld? Producer Mark, you're more a Seinfeld guy. Has that ever gotten in trouble for unwokeness? In retrospect, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I have not seen anyone come at Seinfeld yet.
Yeah, I did
Sure,
see.
it's coming.
I did see. Who's the Cosmo Kramer guy? I mean, we all saw that. He completely lost his mind in a racist rant.
Michael
but that,
Richards.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, had nothing to do with the show. It just was Whoa. He went to a very scary place there. Anyway, I mean, I think he had some kind of a nervous breakdown, but he said some very bad things. But yeah, no, I don't think Seinfeld's gotten in trouble, but Friends definitely has for fat shaming, for LGBTQ mocking, things like that, for sure. Even though Friends is actually very progressive in its own way. Not that I'm going to get too deep into this conversation because people are going to start pressing pause or switching the station. But they had the guy whose wife was actually a lesbian, and he's raising the child with her, and so there's some progressive stuff in the show. But Joey does make fat jokes sometimes. Joey was Joey. A very underrated character. I think the writing was quite good. Josh, howdy, Buck. Very grateful as always for your show on KLBJ. Woo, Austin. Yeehaw. Was that a pretty good Texas yeehaw? I'm trying, everybody. I am a Yankee. Yes, it is true. Not the sports team, producer Mark.
Let's never do that again.
Yeah, I know. Everyone KLBJ Austin is shaking their head side to side like Buck. We're gonna pull your Texas card if you ever do that again.
I don't think they just do that randomly.
I don't know. I'm from New York. This is what I like to think of. Texas, everyone's like, "Hey, partner," I don't know. No one actually talks that way.
I've never been to Texas, but I know they don't just go around saying yeehaw.
I know. I spent a lot of time in Dallas, and in Dallas, the conversations are more like, "Oh, you should come check out our artisan cheese company that just opened up in Uptown." I'm like, "Oh, okay." They're not all like, "Hey, partner, let's ride a horse." That's not. So I assume it's the same thing in Austin. If anything, there's probably more artisan cheese shops and people pickling their own beets and such. All right. Josh writes, the event horizon before the liberal black hole, which is Austin. Have you read the op-ed by Dr. Simone Gold, MD, about the uselessness of masks? She says the virus is 200 to 1,000 times smaller than the pores on cloth masks. It's like putting up a chain link fence to keep out mosquitoes. Also, do you think the NBA will allow messages like "Stand with Hong Kong" on the new social justice jerseys, shields high? Josh, great stuff. I have not seen this op-ed by Simone Gold, MD, but I'm curious to read it. And I keep saying for people that are like mask super users, that there's no question that you can get the virus, that it is possible to contract virus like this through your eyes. And just ask somebody, if you touch a contaminated surface with this virus and then you rub your eye, is that a very clear route of transmission for the answer is yes. So if you can get it by touching something and touching your eye, the aerosolized virus getting your eye is also a risk. Now, they might say it's a lesser risk, but how would you even do a study on this? How would you even really know? So you think these things through and you come up with conclusions that are based in logic and reason and not what is often politicized spokespersons for the scientific community. And as for the stand with Hong Kong, the answer is no. The NBA will not allow that. I guarantee you the NBA will. They will shut down. They're pretty much like, yeah, China gets to call the shots when it comes to the NBA because it's such a big market for them and they make so much money with NBA games being played in China. Or, NBA games being broadcast, I should say, in China. That's what I mean by played. They will not allow that. That's for sure. And let's see, we have here Richard. Buck, I'm with you. Cloth masks are worthless. Did I say that? I probably did. Here in Raleigh, they passed a mask mandate that only includes cloth masks. An N95 respirator or half mask, full mask, face shield not included. My wife and parents are all higher risk, so I wear my 3M half mask with P100 filters in the store. So while I'm wearing that, sometimes that will actually work. I'm breaking the mandate. I refuse to wear it outside. Meanwhile, bars that serve food are open. Bars that don't serve food are mandated to be closed. Dance clubs are apparently open also, which makes no sense. This weekend, the closed bars in town either opened to follow the restaurant rules or they identified as a club and opened. Either way, they gave a giant you-know-what to the Governor Kami Cooper. Support your local speakeasy, Shields High. Well, Richard, thanks for the updates, my man. I didn't know, but every state's got its own petty tyranny going on with governors that are acting like maniacs and not basing things in the science. But here we are, still being mask shamed all the time by people who even 5 months ago were saying, don't wear masks. Now they're saying if you don't wear a mask, you're a bad person. Where's the scientific evidence that has changed? Just show me the scientific evidence for that change, not just the, oh, we want to think we're doing something. All right, that's going to be the show for today. Make sure you go to bucksexton.com. Make sure you also subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/bucksexton. Gen Z and the millennials in the house who are all about YouTube, come on now. Go to youtube.com/bucksexton. We got videos getting posted every day. And also check them out on Facebook. We'll be back tomorrow, same time and place. Shields high.